China is retaliating against the United States over the approved arms deal with Taiwan, sanctioning 20 major American defense firms. Companies include Northrop Grumman, L3Harris, Boeing in St. Louis, Gibbs & Cox Incorporated, VSE Corporation, and more. All assets held by these companies in China will be frozen, and they will be banned from doing business in the country. Now, this is the Pentagon sounds the alarm over China's latest military developments to take Taiwan with brute force. Beijing is rapidly advancing its weaponry and military capabilities to conquer the island by 2027. Joining me now, Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, China announced it's conducting Justice Mission 2025 drills around Taiwan. That starts tomorrow. There had been a Pentagon report released last week that suggested that there were concerns within the political side of China that maybe 2027 was not the right year to invade Taiwan, but that some in the military believed that maybe it should be sooner. What do you make of this latest move by the Chinese?
This is an intimidation move by China. They're trying to intimidate the people of Taiwan, the people of America, people in the rest of the world, which means it's in our interest not to be intimidated. We've got to remember that China is not ready to impose a blockade on Taiwan or invade. The senior Chinese military is in the state of purges, and that includes the commander of the Eastern Theater Command, which is the command responsible for Taiwan. But we also know that an invasion of Taiwan would be extremely unpopular with the Chinese people. So this is a lot of huffing and puffing right now. We are now in the 7th week of a confrontation between China and Japan, which China picked. And the Japanese stood their ground, and the Chinese huffed and puffed, but they sort of backed away. And that, I think, is a lesson right now, that China is in no mood, the senior leadership, to do anything, because it's just not capable.
Yeah, well, and it's not just about Taiwan, it's also about Japan. There's a really good piece in the Journal this morning about that. China is now condemning U.S. military action near Venezuela, striking drug boats off the country's coast and seizing sanctioned oil tankers. The Chinese envoy warning these actions threaten regional peace. The Secretary of State Marco Rubio addressed recent tensions with Beijing. Watch this.
I think I've been nice to China at the end of the day. You know, China is and it will continue to be a rich and powerful country and a factor in geopolitics. We have to have relations with them. We have to deal with them. We have to find the things we are able to work together on. And I think both sides are mature enough to recognize that there will be points of tension now and for the foreseeable future. Our job as part of responsible statecraft is to find opportunities to work together, because I think if there's a global challenge that China and the U.S. can work together on, I think we can solve it. And there'll be points of tension. We well recognize that, and our job is to balance these two things. I think both sides understand that.
Gordon, the United States is in an interesting place right now because you obviously have this relationship, a trade relationship, and you don't want to have escalation with China. At the same time, Jimmy Story in the New York Times pointed this out last week about Venezuela and the issue of Venezuela, that it's been commandeered by a group of criminals, and that basically a free and democratic Venezuela could be a source of stability and economic growth for the entire Western Hemisphere. But those oil tankers, that is not what the Chinese want to see, because the Chinese have a vested interest in Venezuela. How do we kind of thread the needle here, Gordon?
I don't think we have to thread the needle, because China can issue these propaganda blasts on Venezuela, but it really can't do anything.